Hey DevCon, I'm Jason Fiber, the Chief Operating Officer of THX. THX's mission is to make entertainment experiences better. We got our start in the late 80s when our founder, you may have heard of him, George Lucas, walked into a movie theater showing The Empire Strikes Back and was horrified by the condition of the room. George made it his mission to provide theater owners with an incentive to improve their auditoriums and offered to certify them if they upgraded the quality of the sound, picture, and overall experience to his standards. By the time Return of the Jedi was released, THX certified theaters were everywhere, and moviegoers knew that if they saw the THX certified plaque at a theater, they were going to have an excellent experience. You may also remember our signature Deep Note trailer that played just before the movie started. For the last 37 years, we've continued to push the bounds of entertainment and technology to ensure high-fidelity audio and video experiences. So, when consumers see the THX logo on a product, they know it will lead to a top-shelf experience, just the way George envisioned it. Pushing beyond cinema, THX followed up with the THX Certification for Consumer Electronics program. We brought the same exacting standards to home theater products, and those partners who took the time to build their products with THX quality in mind were granted the privilege of applying the THX certified mark to their products. As products have shrunk, THX has continued to certify products that drive the entertainment experience portable, and we are proud to have certified several Razer products, including the excellent Razer Namo Pro desktop speaker system, the Opus headphones, the Hammerhead Pro earbuds. A product earns THX certification status by passing a slew of over 400 tests. The end result? An exceptional audiovisual experience right out of the box. THX has continued to push the boundaries of quality and has moved into technologies, starting with our patented award-winning amplifier technology, THX AAA. In addition to a myriad of partners who have implemented THX AAA technologies into their products, THX recently announced its first direct-to-consumer product, Thx Onyx. Thx Onyx is a portable DAC amplifier featuring the highest-performing THX AAA mobile product, THX AAA 78. When listening to content via THX Onyx, you'll hear music with exceptional clarity and fidelity that packs enough power to run studio-grade headphones and even desktop speakers. The result is a listening experience that feels like you're sitting in the recording studio, listening to the playback directly from the master tapes. Now, THX is applying its impossibly high standards to gaming products. We've worked hard to bring greater immersion and authentic surround sound via the launch of THX Spatial Audio. Last year, THX partnered with Razer to launch a Windows 10 application appropriately called THX Spatial Audio. Now, everyone who owns a pair of headphones and a PC can hear the sounds of dystopian megacities and distant battlefields come alive in 360 degrees. You can try the THX Spatial Audio app for free by heading to the Razer website. Or, put on your headphones and hear the difference THX Spatial Audio can make for content with our iconic Deep Note trailer, Genesis. Today, we are proud to introduce you to our latest product, the THX Spatial Audio Game Engine plugin. We know that THX Spatial Audio adds more to video games when incorporated directly into the design and architecture, so we are thrilled to announce we've worked with our friends at VisiSonics to develop a suite of THX Spatial Audio plugins compatible with the Unity, Unreal, and Wwise game engines. And, as a paid upgrade, gamers and audiophiles looking to customize their experience can capture and integrate their personal head-related transfer function, or HRTF, directly into the game for more lifelike sound that more closely aligns with how an individual perceives and localizes sound in the real world. With that, I'd like to introduce you all to Michael Haneen, VP of Product at Wwise, who helped develop the THX Spatial Audio plugins. Michael?
Thanks for the intro, Jason. At Thx Onyx, we are thrilled to be working with Razer and THX to provide the world's most advanced spatial audio technology. The technological roots of THX Spatial Audio began as a research project led by Drs. Ramani Dureswamy and Dmitry Zotkin from the University of Maryland to help the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, or VA. The VA needed a highly accurate virtual reality simulation that enabled soldiers suffering from combat-related blindness to learn to use their hearing to navigate the world both safely and effectively. The system proved to be a remarkable success. This very same system is also in the process of being deployed with U.S. fighter pilots and special operations soldiers to accurately render critical communications and sound cues during operations. We're thrilled to be able to bring this bleeding-edge technology to game developers in partnership with THX. THX Spatial Audio works by accurately simulating the physics of how sound propagates through space. When we perceive sound, it arrives straight to your ears, and also thousands of copies of the same sound also bounce off the environment from all directions, reaching your ear, known as reverberation. It is this combination of accurately rendering a given sound's reverberation coming from all directions within a space and its corresponding direct path that sets THX Spatial Audio from other solutions. So we've developed a series of plugins designed to empower game developers by making the authoring process of physically accurate room acoustics easy, which renders in real time. THX Spatial Audio is available not only as an API for custom game engines, but also as dev-friendly plugins for Unity, Unreal, and Wwise. The plugins are easily configured to support super accurate object-based audio, ambisonics up to 7th order, as well as channel-based audio, such as stereo, 5.1, or 7.1, all within the same plugin. Here's a simple demonstration of what THX Spatial Audio for game developers sounds like. To hear the full 3D effect, be sure to put on headphones for the remainder of this presentation. Now, let's walk through how easy it is for game developers to be able to author immersive 3D sound with THX Spatial Audio tools. For this particular presentation, we're going to demonstrate the Unity plugin. First, we'll need to import the THX Spatial Audio Unity package into the scene. Next, we're going to set up the Unity scene to ensure THX Spatial Audio will be enabled. By making sure the desired sample rate is set, our Spatializer plugin and ambisonics decoder are selected. Once the Unity plugin is fully enabled, you can see that all the necessary game objects are available. We're going to be focusing on the audio source and virtual room objects for this walkthrough. Before we continue, we'll need to enable the main camera to use the THX Spatial Audio audio listener component. Now, let's go ahead and create a simple object in Unity. Let's go with a sphere. Next, we're going to add an audio source component to that sphere so that it can emit sound in 3D. The THX Spatial Audio audio source component has all kinds of powerful parameters to adjust as needed. Let's attach an audio clip to this object to hear it emit sound. We can move it around in 3D space to test how it sounds. Now that we have an object emitting a direct path to the listener, let's add reverb reflections to really make it sound even more realistic. We do this by simply adding a virtual room around the object. The virtual room can be fully customized by changing the material properties of the room, so it can be very reflective, very absorptive, or however you like. We have pre-made virtual room presets for simple use, or for more advanced development, a developer can customize each surface material to their liking. Here's what the default room sounds like. Notice how the reflections add so much more realism to the sound. It's almost like being there. That's the basics of the THX Spatial Audio for game developers. While this demo showed our Unity plugin, the Wwise and Unreal plugins are also super friendly to work with, allowing developers to focus on creating content. We're thrilled to announce an opportunity for game developers to get their hands on this amazing audio technology for their game titles by filling out a sign-up form after DevCon. So if you're serious about immersive 3D sound for your project, you're going to want to take THX Spatial Audio for a test drive. Thank you.
Hey again, DevCon. Before we move to the live QA session with you all, Michael and I want to introduce you to some friends of ours. Frank Razer, game producer from Illogica, and Renaud Ostrowski of Vibe Avenue. They're building a game with the THX Spatial Audio plugin and will take us through their experiences working with it. Frank from Illogica has worked on games like Hyperscape, Modern Combat, and Far Cry, and Renaud has worked with Tribes of Midgard, Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance, and Operation Tango. Now before we start, Frank and Renaud, you all built a demo reel of your upcoming game. Do you mind introducing it?
Sure, go ahead, Renaud, if you want.
So we had the pleasure to work with you guys at THX to build a little demo and how the THX Spatial plugin, Spatial Audio plugin, works. And so we went through this. We designed the whole sounds that you're going to hear throughout. And yeah, just take it away. It might be easier to just show it, then we can speak about it afterwards. Hi, my name is Renaud Ostrowski and I'm a sound designer and technical sound designer at the award-winning studio Vibe Avenue in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Today I have the pleasure to talk to you about the new and exciting THX Spatial Audio plugin for Wwise. And we're going to show you how to set it up and also some of its functionalities. This new exciting tool will give sound designers a new way to approach integration and to create immersive soundscapes very easily. The THX Spatial Audio plugin has built-in spatial audio, so 3D positioning, audio priorities, elevation, and true reflections right out of the box. With the help of your friendly programmer, the installation of the plugin, in this particular case for Unreal Engine, is very easy. Just a few lines of code added to the existing C++ classes, copying a few libraries that come with the plugin, and following the provided documentation, and the setup is complete. Same on the Wwise side. Just copy the provided folders and a plugin directly inside of your installation path for Wwise, and you're ready to create. Our partners at Illogica, also an award-winning game studio from Montreal, created us a great showcase map. It has a variety of objects of different textures like pipes, scaffolding, ventilation fans, and much more, to show you what this plugin can do. And since we're creating a horror game, we try to make it as spooky as possible. The Unreal integration is also very easy to do. Just drag and drop AK ambient objects from Unreal Engine into your map or on objects. Or you can do like what I did, which is a bit of everything. I have some AK ambients here and there for static objects, and I also created blueprints to have some moving actors and triggers to drive sounds off in the distance. You can mix and match all of these to really liven up your soundscape. The spatial capabilities are also very precise, as you can hear throughout. It helps you not having to create complicated attenuation curves. You can still create them for some other sounds, but this is a true drag and drop feature. One of the great features is the priority system. Without having to input the priorities manually, you can have multiple emitters in close proximity, and the plugin will always make you hear the one closest to you, or the emitter you're looking towards, in top priority. The elevation feature is definitely my favorite. You can actually hear the sounds coming on top of you without having to rely on filters to create the illusion. It also makes it so that your level designers won't necessarily have to rely on visual cues to drive the player's attention, either above or below, creating great moments of surprise. I hope that this short presentation got you curious of what you could achieve with the plugin and its capabilities. Thank you very much for listening.
Wow, some really cool stuff. We should mention that these are a custom video you guys made from a game that we're not ready to announce. And so you're seeing sort of a slightly redacted version of something that will be announced later. And I really appreciate you guys making something special for DevCon that we can show that doesn't reveal secrets we don't want to reveal, but also gives people tuning in a chance to see what we're working on. So let's get started and let's talk about the game and some of your work that you've done and how it's helping bring new audio experiences to the gamers. Maybe Frank, start with you. We'd love to know from your perspective how audio is changing for game development. Would love to get a lay of the land for the industry.
Yeah, for sure, sound is super important for us and for the game industry in general. We designed an horror game based on sound. Like it's one of our core feedback. So we wanted to put as much emphasis as possible in there. And to me, sound can be sometimes even more immersive that a visual can. I remember when I was like 18, close to be a young adult in '99, I went to one of my cousins and he has that 5.1 kit to play Alien versus Predator. And it was the first time I had really that immersion and experience with a sound system, and he blew my mind. He's like, I was running in this corridor, I heard all the little monsters, aliens and predators around me. And I think he made a big impact as for me as a player and now as a developer. And when you guys contact us and say, "Oh, do you want to work on an immersive and surround system with a brand like THX?" We were very, very excited, to be honest.
Cool.
Yeah, and
Hey, Renaud, do you have anything to add?
yeah, sure. I was just about to jump in to say that, like, to echo what Frank said, like, long gone are pretty much the days where the sound can be really an afterthought in video games. So the audio feedback has become really a critical part of immersion in modern video games, and especially for horror games. There's only so much that visual cues can give to a player to create a realistic and immersive atmosphere. So obviously sound is critical in that part. And the tools that we have at our disposal now, whether it is to be during the production process or the integration, are far superior and precise than what we used to have in the past. So we're really excited to use the advanced features that you guys have with the THX Spatial Audio plugin to really try to create a terrifying experience for the players.
Excellent. We're not doing our job if we're not terrifying players. So great to hear. Just sort of kind of following from that thread, how has the development process been different when you're using THX Spatial Audio in terms of designing a game sound?
Well, for us in this particular case, the process of creation and the designing of the sound has not changed too much, but it's really the integration approach that has become really a crucial part of it. The spatial audio possibilities of the plugin, really gives us a big array of avenues to explore, like convincing elevation, true reflections, priority systems, and stuff like that. It also allows us to drag and drop features to achieve the design goals really quickly. And I would even venture to say that the plugin is somewhat beginner friendly, but it has everything to push the boundaries of realism to really greater heights.
Well, thanks. That's a testament to the work that Mike and his team have done. Really appreciate working with us to create something that is user friendly and also can serve the advanced users as well. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Mike, or should we keep going?
I'll just add that I got to say I'm very excited to have the THX Spatial Audio integrated in this type of game where you have sound being even more critical for the user experience, being in the horror genre. I'm a fan actually, and it's funny. Frank mentioned Alien versus Predator, and that's actually a pretty defining game for me earlier on when I was in the 90s when I first played that game. So I'm just really thrilled to actually have THX Spatial Audio in this type of immersive experience for horror. I think is really fun.
Yeah, back in the 90s, Mike, when you and I were still teenagers.
Right.
So
or a little
Renaud,
older, slightly.
Yeah. So Renaud, when what was the most important thing to get right when designing the game world? Kind of curious to know what the process of deciding how to layer the game sound and candidly, how did THX Spatial Audio help you achieve that?
In our particular case, we decided to use the plugin really as like icing on a cake, so to speak. We were using most of the solutions that we already have with audio engines that were at our disposal. But we wanted really to push it a little bit further. Since the audio feedback, without trying to reveal too much, but since the audio feedback from our projects, let's say project's main antagonist, I'm just going to leave it as vague as possible. Since it's really crucial to the player's immersion and survival, we decided to really needed to be able to pinpoint its location in 3D space really accurately, whether it is in spatialization or elevation or as below, like we've seen a little bit in the video that we've seen a bit previously. The feedback was really absolutely necessary to be able to make like split-second decisions that are critical, and with the plugin we were able to achieve a level of precision easily that would have taken us a lot of work otherwise. So the level of immersion has been tremendously elevated with the plugin.
Cool. And what's key is really that the spatial audio is embedded in the game. It doesn't require any sort of third-party hardware or software. You play the game, THX Spatial Audio is baked in, and so everyone that buys the game out of the box is able to get the experience that you guys are trying to create from the development side. So given your experience, was there an aha moment while you were developing it that really made you rethink or think critically about the sound design or how it changed? Or put another way, is there anything that stuck out in your mind that there's something new and different about our approach to adding spatial audio to these kinds of games?
Well, as I said in the video, a little bit coldly, I'll admit. It sounded a bit scripted, but it's really true. To me, was really the elevation. The possibilities of the elevation really changed my mind on doing stuff. So again, since the positioning is really integral to the experience that we're designing, we played around with various techniques to be able to communicate the information clearly. But instead of playing with filters and designing ambisonics and all that kind of stuff, the possibility of elevation, which was right out of the box with the plugin, gives us really a flexibility to try new ways to tailor the experience. For example, we wanted to create tension at certain points in the experience where our antagonist was going after our player, let's say. And since we didn't want to put in clear visual cues like, hey, look over there, look above you, there's a flashing light right there, we were able to do it through sound, which gives it really like a sense of surprise. And we really use the elevation settings to be able to drive the player's attention to where the source of the sound was coming from and create a really realistic sense of danger. Like the danger is over here, it's above me to the right. So there's no guessing or confusion as to where the danger is coming from. So that's really, really special that we were able to do it like this.
Yeah, in my experience, it's always when you hear a sound that in an uncanny location that you're not expecting, where you physically look and then you kind of remember that you're not actually in the world that you're watching. And so when you hear something and you pinpoint it, you're able to immediately identify it. That's kind of that connection that I think makes a game go from good to great, is when you're so caught up in it that you actually forget you're actually in that environment and you just simply are in that environment. And sort of given that, are there different aspects in the game world that you need to think about differently when building with THX Spatial Audio? Obviously, there's a lot of controls in the plugin that allows you to control the distance from the player, the room textures and materials. Mike, I know you touched on that on your presentation earlier as to kind of what was available. So kind of given the multitude of options, I'm curious to know kind of what you were able to do with some of these new options that you might not have been able to do in the past that caused you to kind of think about it in a new light.
Well, since the game has you navigating through very various environments, whether it be like large open exteriors or super tight claustrophobic interiors, the textures and the reflection materials were really important to us. So the reverbs needed really to be precise as to what type of environment that the player is supposed to be in to create really this sense of immersion. That's when the room settings come into play. And with a bit of elbow grease from our friendly programmers that work with us, we were able to really tailor each environment with easy to use settings and reflection percentages, different transmission settings, room sizes, and all that kind of stuff. And different types of reverb and reflection material right out of the box again. Like it doesn't need to have an extra layer on top of it. It just comes exactly with what we needed. For example, say that we have a cabin that's out in an open field at night. We were really easily able to have multiple rooms added to this particular level and have realistic exteriors and realistic interiors within the same map and with a seamless transition in between all of them. So it really cuts down the integration time to work that way. It's really
that's so exciting. And
easy.
having seen the video and seen some other stuff that you've shared with us, really looks to be like an exciting and groundbreaking game. So really, looking forward to kind of when we can share more. Frank, I don't want to ignore you. I'm kind of curious to know, as a developer, what are some of the guiding principles and themes that you've kept in mind during the game's development? Be kind of curious to hear kind of your thoughts on that.
For sure, in our game, like Renaud says, sound is a part of our feedback, and it was one of our pillars to keep the tension and the immersion really high. So we want our player to be always on their toe, to look around, to be sure that they are alone and that the antagonist is not there. And one thing I could say is that our antagonist also look around with sound. He's looking at you with the sound. So it's something that it goes both ways. So that's why it's so important in our experience. Again, having that sense of specialization in our gameplay and giving the right feedback to the player to take decision on what to do or not was something very key for us.
You just left a breadcrumb or an Easter egg, depending upon how you term it. So now everyone's going to be frantically trying to figure out from that little vague hint as to what the heck we're talking about. So
yeah, maybe.
Renaud, I'm sure you have some thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, well, how could I say without sounding a little bit poetic, let's say? Well, fear happens inside our own heads, right? It's our own psyche is a lot more efficient at creating its own sense of terror about what dangers are looming around the corner or down a dark path by suggesting, rather than showing. This design philosophy has really been a driving force behind how the sounds are designed, whether it is from our antagonist or from the player. So we really want the player to ask themselves, like, was that sound that was coming down from that dark path over there, is that an indicator of some imminent danger, or is it simply something that fell off a shelf in the distance? what if those sounds that are coming from the floor above me, are they simply house noises, or are they my impending doom? Creating fear by suggesting is really helpful in the end, like for the payoff, because jump scares are only really as efficient as what builds up to them. So we're trying to create a false sense of security and then ripping it away, or even creating doubt as to what is lurking around the corner at any given time. So that's really the type of experience that we're trying to tailor for our players.
Mike, in the next version, we should just have a make it scarier button in there somehow. You know, something that just amps up the tension and the and the fear. So so it's pretty clear that Logic is making a horror game. So considering that there's a horror theme, and with that genre, there's a lot of emotional manipulation, right? I mean, I think you've got it right, Renaud, where fear is inside your head. So, what are you doing to build tension? And I know, we're trying not to give too much away, but just curious to know, sort of given that light, what was the spatial audio, THX spatial audio plugin enabling you to do that really helps build that sense of dread and that kind of impending suspense?
Well, again, we try to create as much as possible a false sense of security combined with the dreadful atmosphere. We try to use as much also dynamics a lot, so really quiet passages to go up to some really loud ones to really try to drive the emotions of the player where we want them to go in terms of how they feel. Also, we use a lot of rooms and reflections to drive the immersions. So also, if the experience is loud constantly, there's really nothing that stands out. So the minimalist approach also helps to create tension. So why is it so quiet at this particular moment? What's the sound that's coming up far off in the distance? Should I investigate, or should I just run away and hide? So all that combined we're really trying to drive the emotions of the player to where we want them to be. And again, it's simply just a matter of trying to play around with what we have around us and around the players to try to put them into, again, sorry to repeat myself, but like to put them in a false sense of security to try to really rip it away at the most important time in the experience.
I'm a card-carrying member of the false sense of security club, so I think I can relate pretty well. So, Mike, I'm going to turn to you for a second because elevation is such a key element in this game, and I'm sure both Frank and Renaud have some thoughts. But I'm curious, as working on this and the fact that it's utilizing objects and ambisonics as sort of the key underlying technologies. How difficult is it from a technology perspective to be able to enable a lot of the sort of height elements? Because obviously we all come out of a multi-channel surround sound world, and now we're kind of moving into a kind of more of a bubble or a sphere of audio. So sort of given that and the fact that now we've unlocked kind of audio in areas that haven't necessarily been available in previous plugins, curious to know sort of what the thinking was as developing the plugin with this notion of height as one of the key differentiators.
That's a great question, Jason. If you recall my presentation, I talk about how we perceive sound in real life, and really, this is the technology. That's the basis of THX Spatial Audio, really is born from technology used in simulations, the type of simulations you find in very high-end virtual reality experiences. The whole goal is to make the user feel as if they're not wearing headphones, and that they're literally in an environment where the sense of wearing something over your ears to get sound in your ears is basically gone. So this suspension of disbelief is at its maximum point in terms of sound. And so we're able to do that because of the technology that is the basis of THX Spatial Audio. The technologies such as, head-related transfer functions, HRTFs, the type of quality HRTFs that we use, the room simulation that we do in terms of the reverberation, all of those things add just more and more cues to your brain to make you feel like you're hearing sounds not just behind you or to your right or to your left, but actually above. And in the past, you were sort of able to do it. You would kind of get a sense of maybe something was above your head, but adding, the room simulation, the quality HRTFs, all of those things sort of combine together to create a much greater sense of height and elevation. And so your brain sort of responds to it, and it sounds a lot more convincing.
Cool. Well, we could probably keep going forever, but I'm under the impression that there's a group of folks that want to ask us questions in real time. You'll probably see from some sort of a haircut or shave or different outfit that perhaps this was not recorded in real time as the Q&A. So I really greatly want to extend my thanks to Frank, Renaud, and Michael for talking about their experience with THX Spatial Audio and giving up their time both to record these as well as moving on to the live Q&A section, which we're going to move to now. So with that said, we'll conclude this unless there's anyone that wants to add anything as a closing comment.
It was
Oh,
really.
With that, we'll
Sorry, I didn't want
go
to
ahead.
talk over everybody else.
No, please do.
Just wanted to add, like working with the plugin really like changed. It has really the possibility to be a game changer in terms of everything that Mike has mentioned previously, which is really like the elevation, the HRTFs, the sense of the suspension of disbelief is really probably the best way to put it. Really, it's try to create the experience as immersive as possible and really forget that you're wearing headphones. It sounds a bit like a catchphrase, but it's not. In essence, that's not what it is. It really is like not wearing headphones in terms of immersion. So it was really a great partnership to work with you guys, and to have the opportunity to try some new stuff and try new approaches was really enlightening and insightful. So we hope that the experience that we're tailoring will live up to its name, as we say.
Cool. Well, Frank?
Yeah, and on my side, but I'm very excited to work with THX and on that game, and I'm even more excited to reveal it when the time will come. So like that, maybe we can have a second conversation going a bit more into details about what we do and how we use the sound and the surround sound to tailor our experience.
Sure. Well, look, again, I really thank everyone for their time, and I think now's the time to move into the live Q&A session, and hopefully we've got some good questions, and we're looking forward to answering them. So thanks again, guys. Let's turn this over to the live Q&A now.